Alright guys, how you doing? It's Rabea. I hope you're all well today. So in this video, I thought I'd bring you on a little journey. As some of you know, I'm a huge fan of Fender Strats, as a lot of guitarists in the world are, and it's one of those guitars that's just, I feel like you just have to have one in your collection. And I've been very fortunate enough over the past few years to have acquired two custom shop Fender Strats. One is a 55 reissue and one is a 61 artist inspired. Both from Andertons and both awesome guitars. I love them both, and they're very, very different. And that's the thing about Fender Strats, they're very different. You could get a 50s one, feels and sounds completely different to a 60s one, feels and sounds completely different to a 70s one. And you know, even from just guitar to guitar, you know, it's totally random, and you might find one that you just vibe with. Speaking of which, the guitar that I first got, my first custom shop Strat, was purely out of that thing, that vibe. I picked it up, I started playing it, and I was just like, I have to have this guitar. I have to have this guitar. I don't care what it looks like. It's all about the way it plays and feels and sounds to me. And that is this custom shop Strat here. As you can see on the close-up camera, it's a reasonably light relic, I'd say. It's not a heavy relic. It's a maple fretboard and neck. I think it's a 3-tone, but it's a 55 reissue, and it's as it would have been in that year. Not to mention the ridiculous neck profile. I don't know if you can kind of tell looking at the close-up camera there, but it's just so fat. And it's just a really funny guitar for that reason. And when I picked it up and played it, I went, oh my god, this guitar neck is huge. But something about it just felt amazing. Like the rolled edges, the unfinished, like the fact all the hard lacquer has worn off over the years. Just the way it feels, the way it plays, it's just proper Fender Strat to me. However, I've kind of gone off the way it looks a little bit and the way it sounds a little bit. And speaking to Mick Taylor, who is, I would say, the king of the quest for Strat tone and perfection, you know, in that world, he's been taking everyone on his journey of finding the perfect Strat for him, whether it be a real vintage pre-CBS or it be like just picking up different parts that would be as the vintage part would be, putting it on his favorite guitar. It's called Blue, and it's like a light kind of bluish Fender Strat. It's a lovely guitar, and he wanted to make that feel like an original pre-CBS vibe. And I'm sure you guys have watched some of those videos. I've been watching those videos, and it got me thinking, you know what, I'm going to do the same, and I'm sure some of you guys are doing the same. The 61 Strat, the artist inspired, is just perfect. It's the black and white Strat with a rosewood fretboard, and the gold hardware is such a nice touch. It just works, and I've got no complaints about that guitar whatsoever. With this one, it's like, it plays and feels amazing, but the sound just doesn't quite hit the spot anymore. And visually, it's just, you know, I'd like it to be a bit different. I'm going to change the scratch plate, and I'm going to change the pickups, and hopefully that will just be enough of a bump in the right direction for me. I don't really want this to sound like the black and white one. I just want it to have a little bit more attitude. For me, it's a bit of a polite guitar, and I mean that, you know, you can get it to sound as dirty as you want with pedals and all that stuff, but I just mean the response, the way it plays against the pickups and the axe, the way the guitar feels in the sound. So first things first, scratch plate. I was thinking about what I wanted to do. Did I want to get a 3-ply, but it's a 55, and apparently that's just sacrilege according to Mick. So it was either black or like tortoiseshell or something. But really, I've always loved is an anodized gold pickguard. So from Rebel Relic Guitars in Germany, I believe. I picked this up. This is about €68, 68 quid or something. It came in the post the other day, and it's a heavy one to go with the guitar. Anodized gold pickguard, which I think looks so good on a sunburst guitar with maple board. And I made sure that I got the 50s screw layout as well, so that's cool. Anyway, I was talking to Mick, what pickups are going to work. We were talking about a few different brands. There are loads that he recommended, loads of awesome brands, and I just can't decide. But I actually found a set of Strat pickups in my gear room that I'd been given by a good friend of mine, and they're from a company called Radioshop. So if you've never heard of Radioshop, I suggest you check them out because I've heard very good things. And also, Chris Buck, who is an absolutely astonishing Strat player, plays Radioshop. He's got his own signature set of Radioshop pickups. But I found these. And these are the RSV57, so I'm assuming that's the 57 Strat set. In terms of the spec, these are Alnico 3, the bridge pickup is 6.2, and the middle and the neck are 6. And it's made with 42 AWG heavy form var wire. So I sent a message to Mick Taylor and I said, are these going to be any good? Are these going to be the kind of thing that I'm looking for? And he said that is an absolutely stonking set of mid-50s pickups. He's heard very good things from Radioshop, and he said it's totally worth a go, see what you think, but he seems to think that I'll really like them. So that's a very fortunate, lucky thing to happen. But in a nutshell, I've got a scratch plate and I've got some new pickups to install. Other than that, I'm not touching this guitar. I'm literally just gonna unscrew these pickups from this scratch plate, put them in the new one with all the wiring and everything, and literally just swap pickups over. I'll film it, of course, but I'm no technician, so it's going to take me a while, so I'll try and speed it up or whatever. But hopefully we'll be able to get a bit of that going as well. Anyway, this is the sound of my Fender 55 Custom Shop Strat as is into the VC35 with a bit of reverb and delay from Oxbox. So you should be able to get a half decent idea of how the guitar sounds based on just a little bit of the playing there. This isn't like any kind of test or comparison. I'm just sharing with you that for me, as good as the guitar sounds, like it does sound really good, it just doesn't quite hit the spot for me. Now, some of you might agree, some of you will disagree. But yeah, basically, we don't know what's going to happen until we put in these new pickups. And I know the scratch plate is going to look sick. So let's just crack on. I'm going to install it all and then we will get a comparison going. So let's do that. Okay, so I don't really have the kind of tools that most people would have for these kind of jobs. I'm not a luthier in any way. I don't do anything like that normally. I do have a soldering iron and a screwdriver, and generally the kind of tools I could do things like pickup fitting, because I mean I've fit pickups before. Never fit pickups into a Strat loaded scratch plate before, but that is something that we are going to do first time right now. You know, it's first for everything, as they say. So yeah, basically we'll start by taking the strings off, then the scratch plate. We'll have a look on the underside and see, you know, what's going to go into swapping everything over. Strings off. Okay, so all the screws are out, so in theory the scratch plate should just lift out. Wow. So as you can see on the close-up camera there, pretty straightforward. I've never really seen inside, especially a Fender one. So it looks like there's a little metal shielding plate that's holding everything on here. So once I unscrew the pickup switch and the pots and everything, this plate should probably fall out along with the pickups here as well. But yeah, I'm going to do that next and see what happens. Okay, so as you can see, the scratch plate is now completely off. I'm sure there's a professional order in which to do this, but I'm no professional, so I'm not gonna get hung up on that. Right, so now this is the gubbins of my Strat. This is the point where I should probably start unsoldering things. But basically, yeah, I'm probably gonna mount everything to the other scratch plate first and then solder, just because it will make more sense visually to me that way. Okay, so we've got the controls mounted back in loosely, and I'm just sort of keeping track of everything, where everything's going, just because I'm gonna have to wire the pickups shortly. So, you know, let's make sure we don't make any horrible mistakes. But yeah, steady away. Okay, I'm going to try film this so that you can kind of see what's going on. But in terms of the wiring, you want to follow the cream wires. So we'll start with the neck, then the middle, then the bridge. And you see all the cream wires are taped together and they go along to the pickup switch, which, if you can see those first 3 lugs there, that's where they're soldered to. Nice and easy. And all the black wires are soldered to this first pot here, which I don't know if you can see. I'll move that out of the way. They're all soldered to the top of that pot there. So it should be a very simple, easy installation, provided that I don't ruin it somehow, but we'll see how that goes. Okay, so I've got my pickups here. These are the Radioshop RSV57s, and as you can see, I've got everything ready to go in terms of just unsoldering and soldering back on. So I'm going to start with the bridge pickup because it's the closest to me. So in order of wires, generally speaking, you know, the shortest being the closest to the pickup switch, is going to be the bridge. So we're going to start here. Okay, so we've got the bridge off. Bridge off. So I'm going to leave all the black wires off for now because I know they're all going on this volume pot here, so I don't necessarily need to connect them, because really I just want to focus on getting the pickup switch wired correctly. So I'm just going to carry on with that. Okay, so all of the pickup selector wires are connected just like they were before. So what I'm going to do now is solder all the black wires to the volume pot, and then we're done. We basically just have to start building everything back together. I just want to point one thing out, and obviously that is that this kind of thing is fun. It's nice to mod your guitars, nice to do all that kind of stuff. But I would say that if you're inspired to start tinkering with your guitars, just make sure you know what you're doing. I joke about the fact that I don't know what I'm doing, and compared to somebody like Pablo or Mick or like a proper tech, like, I don't. But that doesn't mean that I don't know what I'm doing at all. I know how to wire pickups, I've done it many times, I've set up my own guitars for years, so that's fine. I would say that if you're going to go into anything like this, just do your research first, because you can quite quickly and very easily ruin one of your guitars beyond the point where you can actually put it back together and use it again without having to take it somewhere. So just bear that in mind, because you know, as fun as this is, you can quite easily ruin it, especially when we're dealing with, you know, a guitar that's, you know, expensive, and I don't want to ruin it. So anyway, let's crack on. Okay, so I've got all the Fender custom shop pickups out, and now all I have to do is wire the 3 black Radioshop wires to the volume pot, and then we can start piecing everything back together. Okay, so now all the pickups are fit, and we just basically need to put the guitar back together now, and then we can test it out and see how it sounds. One thing I'm definitely going to do is keep the pickup covers on the original pickups and order some parchment covers for this, because these are like pretty new looking white pickup covers that, to be honest, they're not going to look fantastic, but it's not really about that, it's about how it sounds. So what I want to do is, yeah, I'm going to get some parchment pickup covers that I can use, and hopefully that will do the job. Okay, so as you can see, the pickguard is now loaded back up, and we now need to fit it into the guitar. So let's give that a go. First things first, I'm just going to tighten up a few of the areas like the pickup switch. And we'll do the pots afterwards. I just want to make sure everything is running properly first. So Okay, so now it's on. I just need to restring it and then we can test it out. But first things first, it looks sick. I knew that I would like the way this looks. It's just way more badass. So I'm smiling because I think this looks sick and I can't wait to just get it ready to go. So let's string it up and see how it sounds. For the restring, I'm going to use NYXL 10-52s because they're my favourite strings. And for anything in E flat standard, I use 10-52 generally speaking. So we're going to string this up and crack on. Okay, so I've got it set up now with the new strings on. I think it looks so sick, but it's really about how it sounds at this stage because I'm sold on the gold scratch plate. Anyway, I haven't touched any settings or I haven't changed anything from how we did the test before. It's worth pointing out though that I have changed the strings. That is the one thing. But anyway, let's have a listen. Okay, so that's the sound of the guitar. Now, it would be foolish of me to tell you if I think that sounds better or worse, like black and white straight off the bat, because I need to get used to it and I need to listen back to the other take as well and just sort of A and B the two. But off the top of my head, I would say there's more bass with this set, maybe. The amp seems to be reacting a bit differently, particularly with the bass here, particularly when I'm on the neck pickup and I play like a chord, it seems to be overloading a bit more. So I really would need to hear that through a speaker cabinet to be absolutely certain that that's the case. There's a little more gain to them, they seem a bit higher output, but anyway, those are first impressions. I need to sit and get used to this guitar for a bit now and really compare it to the 61 and make sure it's not too similar, because I don't want two of the same sounding Strats. Listen back to this and then just do a little bit more tone searching really, just to make sure. As I said, this was a complete fluke that I found this set in my gear room. It just so happens that they're a really nice set of single coil pickups, but it wasn't ones that I went searching for. I'm just happy that they're in there and they sound absolutely awesome. I just want to make sure that I'm doing the right thing at this stage because I want this guitar to be perfect. I mean, it looks so good now with that gold scratch plate. I'm not even lying. I mean, not for everybody, but for me, that is badass. So I'm very happy with the results of it visually. Anyway, I need to carry on with the tone search. If I do happen to stumble across another set of pickups that I'm going to fit and test, then I will do a similar video whereby we'll start with this and move on to the next one. But thank you for joining me on this little journey. Thank you to Mick for basically making me realise that I need to do something similar, and for the inspiration, of course, because he's such an awesome dude. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Like, subscribe and share, and I will see you all very soon.